Good morning. Good morning. Thanks all for attending. We appreciate you being here and honoring the people we're going to invite you to the Hall of Fame. I would like to first of all welcome on behalf of the ISC those candidates who are being inducted, their families, friends, and supporters. We appreciate what you've done with us at the ISC and the organization. I'd also like to welcome all Hall of Fame, current Hall of Fame members who are here. We appreciate you showing up each and every year and supporting the event. I'd also like to thank John. John has been our chair of this event committee and also our master of ceremonies, and he does a lot of work putting it together. And I think the ISC can honestly say that without John, we would have a hard time matching what he does. So, really, round of applause for him. We are happy to be back in Quad Cities. I hope you're enjoying your stay here. I think we've been here 3 times in the last 6 years, I believe, and it's gotten better and better each year. As I mentioned earlier, we've been here in a record number of times. A lot of them back in the 60s and 70s, but we returned recently, and we really appreciate that. We do have a representative from Grand Rapids who is our host next year. And if Katie would like to stand up, we recognize Katie Tingelaar here from Grand Rapids.
Just like on behalf of the umpires, congratulate all the inductees. I need some help. I can't see all the guys down there, but I'm going to go around. First of all, and he's going to be introduced later as a commissioner and as Hall of Fame members. Let's go back to the umpire committee chairman. Our umpiring and deputy umpire chief of the ISC, Lou Davis. Lou is also umpiring. He's on the field calling balls and strikes.
The Hall of Fame Selection Committee. As I call your names, if you would please stand and remain standing until we get everyone here, please. Charlie Smith, El Paso, Texas. Hank Wild, Kimberly, Wisconsin. Wayne Fisher, Iowa City, Iowa. Ray Leather, Staten Island, New York. Les Novak, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. Todd Makea, Calgary, Alberta. Larry Sepper, Mississauga, Ontario. That's hard to say. Kyle Smith, Dixon, Ontario. Dave Weldon, Bakersfield, California. Okay, now these are the guys that screen these nomination forms all year. They work year-round working with things, and they do an outstanding job. And we appreciate what each and every one of you do. Let's give these guys a hand.
Airport Foundation was founded in 1995 in remembrance of the airports who founded the ISC. I don't have a great deal to pass on to you, but the ISC is a 501c3, tax exempt, and any donation that is given to it can be deducted from your taxes. But this is only for U.S., I'm sorry to say. We give 2 scholarships each year, and this past year we gave 2 to Greg Hamill is one. He's from New Hamburg, Ontario. Michael Lewis from Amboy, Minnesota. And there was a motion made in the executive committee to help sponsor the under 21 tournament at the World Tournament. And last year we did not have enough teams. This year there will be 4 teams playing. And when did they start? Pardon? The under 21 starts on Thursday. Okay, thank you.
Passed away this past year. Let's have a minute's silence for Armando Zambrano from El Paso, Texas.
Alright, good morning. I'm Boyd's son, Nick. I went to a lot of the World Tournaments with him and spent a lot of summers at Pace Park downtown. Just a couple memories that I have is the 2003 Worlds. I was bad boy for Broken Bow, and my dad was umpiring, and that was the last Worlds I was out with him because I started football the next year and wasn't able to go out and play. Just the memories of one morning, Broken Bow had a game at 3 in the morning, and so my dad let me sleep in the umpire room, and then when it was time, he woke me up because he had the game before, and I came out that with Broken Bow while he slept in the umpire's room, and then we ended up driving back to the hotel at it was 5:30 in the morning. As soon as we got there, we crashed for the most part of the next day. But it was just always nice to see how fair my dad was with umpiring and how much respect he got from all the other coaches and players and all the other umpires, and just meeting the brotherhood of the umpires that are there and seeing all the lifelong friends he has and all the men that I looked up to throughout the summers while traveling around the country with them, whether it was Wisconsin, Canada, New York, or other parts of Pennsylvania. It's always just really nice to see the respect he gave, but also the respect he had in return from everyone else. So I'm going to keep mine pretty short just because if you guys don't know Ron, when he gets microphone, he likes to talk. So without further ado, I just want to say congrats on getting inducted. It's well deserved, and congratulations. And
I had the privilege of working in 19 world tournaments umpiring with Tom. And the third person was here from El Paso, Makea Novice, and that's when we were a team. And Tom was sort of the leader of that team. Even though he was the youngest in here, he was the leader of our 3-9 team, which doesn't happen anymore. Positives, negatives, I don't know. But I know when we went on the field, we were our only friends, really. We got along with everybody, but Tom really led the way. Just a couple stories. He worked in 14 different cities in world tournaments, which is pretty unusual. That doesn't happen too much anymore. And he was trained by Bob Walsh. If you know, Bob was from Pennsylvania. He's a Hall of Fame member. And he did a heck of a job with Tommy. And maybe I got a hold of him and we started screwing him up a little bit. But he really stayed with it. So, and in his bio, there's a paragraph there that I think symbolizes all umpires, really good umpires, in fact. It says that common sense should prevail, know the rule book, use common sense, and know how to deal with people. If you deal well with people, you can be successful. When there's a dispute, I will let people have their say, but after they have had their say, that's it, and let's move on. And Les Novak said something to us one time in an umpires meeting that I'm going to talk to the coach, the player, whoever it is that's questioning, then I'm going to tell them I'm going to walk away. And if I turn around after I walk away and you're still there, I'm going to stay and you're going to be gone. And so I think we live by that, and we did a really pretty good job. Tom was our leader, so congratulations, Tom. You're the third member of our team, and well deserved. So, Tom White, Hall of Fame member.
Great pleasure to be inducted in this Hall of Fame. When I got the phone call that I was elected, I told my wife and that I got elected, and she said to me, "Do you have to speak?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Who's going to shut you up?" So, to start off, I would like to congratulate the fellow inductees, Jarrad Martin, Thomas Makea, Mr. Dolan and Dolan family, Chubb, Tangaroa, and Jarrad Martin. Whether you're a player or an umpire, you never think that this will happen to you because you just do it for the love of the game. We all do it for the love of the game because we like what we're doing. And like Shoes Joe Jackson said, in the Field of Dreams, is this heaven? Well, it sure feels like it right now. And we are in Iowa. I'd also like to thank Les Novak for nominating me to the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame committee for my selection. It's a great honor to be inducted into the IC Hall of Fame with such a great class. This is the 51st Hall of Fame induction class, and there have been 105 players, 16 managers, 33 commissioners, 6 umpires, and 22 sponsors or contributors. And we get to add to that fabulous list. Nick and Britt, thank you for being my presenters. I'd like to thank my brother Barry, who worked a lot of games and got me involved in umpiring. And he worked 2 world tournaments in 77 and 84. Him and Bob Walsh, who got involved with me to do softball, because at that time I only wanted to do baseball. And Bob took me up to Owen Sound back in 78. And I had the pleasure of working one of our Hall of Fame members before anybody ever even knew him. And that was Brad Underwood. He was pitching for Goodyear Tire out of Owen Sound. And the only people that knew Brad at that time were the people in Owen Sound. But after that tournament, I was hooked, and my schedule started doing more softball than baseball. I'd like to thank my mom and dad, May and Herbert, who instilled the work ethic and how to get along with people when they had a store in my hometown of Chestertown. They would come, watch some of my games, and they were at my first world tournament in Saginaw. Joe and Joanne Dudette, my in-laws, for the support and helping Diane with our children when they couldn't make it to a tournament. I know, along with my parents, Bob Walsh, they're looking down right now and I'm proud of this moment. I'd like to thank my wife, Diane, who took care of our children, Caitlin, Nick, and Kelly. When I needed to be at a tournament, a league weekend, or at the Worlds, she was the one that took care of the children when I went out and did my fun. The one game I remember in particular was in Salt Lake City. She was sitting in the first row with Caitlin, and Nick was in a stroller, and we had Happy Chef and Granello Brothers. How you remember some of this stuff, I'll never know. But there was a little voice coming from the third baseline going, "Strike him out, Daddy." And I remember Brink coming down the line and telling me, Dan Nessler asked him, "Whose kid is that?" Because that was the Happy Chef side. He goes, "Oh, that's Tommy's kid." And I said, "Yeah, I know. I heard saying that." He goes, "But the best part was when Diane moved back a row away from Caitlin as she was yelling all this." Thank you. Love you. I'd like to thank Caitlin, Nick, and Kelly for your support all those years. Thank you. Chad Disler and Alyssa Boyd, thank you for being here on this special day.
Would you please stand up at your team? Stand up.
Okay. Chad, Alyssa, thank you. And Caitlin, Diane, please stand up. And Kelly. And our grandchildren, Kyla, Kenzie, and Kaylee. I had to teach Kyla how to hit left handed. She's speedy. And Keith Brower from the Morning Call for doing my bio. And my sponsor, Keith and Angela from Kremer's Cafe and Catering. My first world term was in '81 in Saginaw. I was only supposed to be a part-timer that year, but one of the guys got sick or couldn't make it on the regular crew. And I was informed the week before that I was going to work the whole term. Well, that tournament ended up being one of the top tournaments of all time in ISC history. One night we won 34 innings. Next night I ended up working a 28 inning game. We ended up coming off the field at 5:30 in the morning. And that was the first one out of 21 tournaments and 25-year run. And it was such a pleasure working that. The first tournament I worked with Bob Walsh the first 4 years. He retired in Allentown in '84, and the following year he was the first umpire inducted into the ISC Hall of Fame. We happened to miss that Hall of Fame induction because at that time the Hall of Fame inductions were with the opening ceremonies. I remember Brent, we were on the upper field. We missed the whole ceremony because we were in extra innings. We got to see nothing of that induction or opening ceremonies, but we were excused. First time I met Brent was in 1982 in Kimberly, and the first thing he asked me was, "How old are you?" I said, 28. He goes, "You should still be playing." I said, "No, I'm having more fun doing this." And then the following year, in '83, was when I met Maggie. And I still remember those crates of grapes he brought to Bakersfield and put them in the umpire crew. That was a nice break when we came off the field. And the first tournament we worked was '84 in Allentown. And then we worked 19 tournaments together with him and 16 tournaments with Ron as a crew. And we couldn't have umpired at a better time in the ISC. Because most of the players that are in that record book, we had the pleasure of umpiring. And I'd like to thank the ISC for letting us have our own personality and style on the field. Also, during our time, we used to, first 4 years, we had different shades of blue, different shades of white shirts with different logos. So we put a bug in some of the commissioner's shirt that had bull, and we were able to get Bike in 1985 to sponsor the first uniforms of the ISC. And we gradually went from the pullover to the shirts that you guys are wearing today. And also in 1985, we threw those black ugly pants in the trash. And we started wearing gray all the time. Like Brink said, we set the fashion. And Maggie, I'll never forget, you never stopped chasing a pass ball or foul ball to the backstops. Catchers loved you for that. And it wasn't only about umpiring, but it was being with our families at the tournaments. for teams, and they used to tag foul balls at the ballpark, especially at Kimberly where they got 25 cents for a ball in a return. Because when we got back to the hotel, those scores were right to game machines. And I'm just going to do a couple of memories from this great tournament, and then I'll be done. One of the most memorable games was Makea and Pancor in 1986. We had the game, and it's good we got there early because there was a traffic jam from the ballpark all the way out on the interstate highway. They were lined up coming in. The main field, you couldn't fit one more person into it. They were hanging from the trees, hanging from wherever they could. And the one inning, Billy Boyer came in, goes to me, Tom. I said, what? They're hitting holes in the fence out there. So we had to make an announcement so that the fans would stop hitting holes in the fence so that you could see through the fence. This was a high wooden fence out there. And the other field, they were overflowing too. A lot of people came to see that game that never saw it. And then Corky Cochran stormed from second base on a pass ball against Lancaster. I knew that Corky was going to go because I was the umpire on second base. I could just tell when he was heading in the third, he wasn't stopping. And then Teleconnect, Michael White stopped and paid Pac's win streak of almost 3 years. And not only that, he took the tournament that year for his first IAC World Championship. And nowadays we all see why he coached in Oregon. And I had the pleasure of working Kevin Hurley's last game. I got to be friends with Kevin off the field. We talked a lot. And when I had his last game, Ron said, he won't pitch. I said, yes, he will. Remember that? And Ron went over, asked Rod Peterson for the lineup card. He goes, why? Because I just want to see who's pitching. And then, like Rick usually does, he just looks at me and gives me that smile. And later on, we didn't know that was going to be his last game, but I came out of the umpire's trailer, and Kevin was having a beer, and he had a beer in his hand. He goes, this is for you. He said, you worked my last game. And I'll always remember that. And then the last really good one was working the championship game up in Victoria in 90. Jimmy Moore's comeback against Sioux City. You have two guys that are supposed to put that in sacrifice punt. They don't get it down. Both of them hit it out of the park. The one was in the 10th inning, and he's the game winner. Stuff like that you can't forget. I'll never forget these things, and I'll always cherish my time in the ISC. Let's go watch some softball this afternoon, and I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Thank you.
Todd and Dolan Murphy family, some of you weren't really familiar with following the bracket. Well, here's your schedule. After this is over, go to your rooms, get in your belt clothes. We have a 1 o'clock game, and then after the game, you may want to kind of move over to Diamond 5, because the 3 o'clock game will be New York Rounds, one of the top teams. And then at that field at 5 o'clock will be the opening ceremonies. So you'll have a good seat for that. Robin's going to do the presentation for Dan. I grew up in the 800 block of Watson Street in Raw. And Dan, at the same time, was growing up in the 600 block of Watson Street. So we've kind of been lifelong friends. And over the years, I've read and learned so much about Dan, about his kids, his grandkids, everything they've done for the community. I know a whole lot about Dan. I can tell you some really good stories. Nobody can celebrate St. Patrick's Day like Dan Dolan. But it's just a pleasure that he got recognized today, his family got recognized. They sponsored him for 30 years. It was just so well deserved. Thanks.
Very happy to be able to introduce the Dolan family to you this morning, but I have to touch on a few things first. I'm going to touch on the Aurora tradition. Aurora tradition started with the Seamasters. We had a team from the late 40s through the 60s. And I'm very happy to see that there's 3 ball players from the Seamasters team here to help celebrate with the Dolan family: Frankie Hurt, Bob Aaron, and Bob Christensen. Also, the tradition went to next came to home savings in the 70s and 80s, with us winning the World Championship in 1980. Bill Pfeiffer and Mike Drew, myself, were on that team. Mike Drew is still playing on the Bill Murphy team, although he's a little injured right now. First injury of his career, I believe, right, Mike? I'd like to tell a little quick story about how gracious the Dolan family was to the Raider family. After World War II, my father was coming back. He needed a place to stay, so he stayed with the Dolan family. He came in one night after a night out of town in Aurora and was trying to sneak in, not to wake up the family. But for some odd reason, he started walking on his hands, fell, broke the coffee table, and I didn't hear the story after that, but I sure hope that he gets paid for that. If he doesn't, I'll take care of that. It was like 31 years ago. We were finishing up the season, and we were told our sponsor was not going to sponsor our team anymore. So we were devastated. We had a good young team. We had a couple players that had played with the home savings team. We had 2 really good young pitchers. We wanted to up our schedule. We wanted to play 80 games to 100 games, which was the norm back then. But now we're without a sponsor. So I went over to my father's house he's our general manager, did everything, got the book, called the umpires, made a schedule, called the hotels, did everything for us. And he said, well, Dad, what are we going to do now? And right away he said, well, I've already called Mr. Dolan. We have a meeting with him tomorrow. We explained to him what we needed in a sponsor. He was, without hesitation, said, I'd be glad to help out. So here we are 30 years later, and 30 years is a long time, no matter what you're doing, but 30 years of sponsoring a bunch of older gentlemen in a sport that they all love is remarkable. He's still a sponsor. I know that I speak for all the past, present, and hopefully future Dolan Murphy players. Thank you for being Dolan and family, for keeping us playing the sport that we truly love, the great sport of fast pitch softball. I'd like to introduce the Dolan family right now. Daniel P. Dolan, Daniel T. Dolan, if you might stand there. Ryan Dolan, Ryan Dolan. He's can't be right now. There we go. And Jarrad Dolan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robin. It was Nettie. It was a wonderful introduction. I wanted to thank the ISC selection committee and Eddie Kerr for getting us in the mix. This is truly a heartfelt honor that our family feels greatly about. As they've indicated, we've been involved with fast pitch for a long time, and to become a part of this illustrious group is truly a memorable honor. I don't have to introduce the family too much anymore. They took care of that pretty much. My my sons, my daughter, my grandsons, granddaughter, and she came from California, and nephew come from Ohio. So really got some support here from the family. The Dolan family, they asked me to say a little bit about our family and our life in Aurora. We've been in Aurora a lifetime. My grandfather, Obi Dolan, had a saloon in downtown Aurora in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Obi Dolan Saloon, and he had a boxing training quarters down below. Maybe 34 years later, my cousin Bernie Dolan and George Andrews were instrumental in starting the Little League, Aurora Little League program in Aurora. My oldest brother Johnny was a Hall of Fame bowler, and Johnny took on teaching young children in Aurora, hundreds, probably thousands of young boys and girls to bowl. And my sons and daughters, for 40 years, they've coached grade school, Little League, basketball, baseball, football. We just always had a love for sports and athletics, and especially helping children or young people stay on the right track. Let's see here. As far as getting involved with youth baskets, Aurora was a tremendous hotbed of fast pitch, and I want to say it's glory days. We got this fine Dolan Murphy team out here right now in their glory days. But going back in the 50s with Stevens Adams and the Seal Masters, they were world champions. And then they went from the 50s into the 70s, and then Home Savings and Loan took over with great pitching. Harvey Sturgill, Blue Baker, Charlie Richard, and they had 2,000-3,000 people at the Stars and Stripes games and the games. It was part of the Aurora culture, part of the Aurora scene. And if you like sports, it was hard to stay away from it. I remember particularly, like Harvey Sturgill had several sons as Blue Baker and Charlie Richard from the Aurora teams. And I can remember them out there, like the umpire just said, is chasing foul balls and bringing them back for a nickel ball and bring back the foul balls. They were 7 or 8 years old then, and all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, Harvey Sturgill's 2 sons, Ronnie and Bobby, they were all on the mound now pitching as adults. And Blue Baker's son, Richard's son, they had now grown up at the ballparks, being at every game, and now they were playing. And so it was easy to get that in the blood. Frankie and Beaver and Chrissy have been my friends. I followed them to Denver, I followed them to Indiana. I went to Japan with her. Home Savings and Loan for 14 days. Back, it was just part of the Aurora culture, and I just created, had many great friends in the baseball. Billy Pfeiffer's here also, another great ball player from the Aurora area, and Home Savings alone. Myself, I was a mailman. I was on a destroyer in the Korean War for 4 years. Came back and went on the fire department for 5 years in Aurora. And I always wanted to sell, and I started into real estate. We started a strictly commercial industrial real estate firm, and my sons came with me as soon as they were old enough to get a license. They've been with me 40 or 50 years, I think. Not quite that long, 40 years, anyway. And so it's been a great family affair. My sons, my daughter Kara, she was in Arizona, but she was a salesman of the year there in real estate, but she didn't, I think she was doing that to please me. She didn't please herself, but she still did well. Let's see here. At the end of home savings year, which I believe was sometime in the middle 80s, that's when Dolan and Murphy got involved. Dolan and Murphy Real Estate got involved with the Dolan and Murphy Shamrock. And as Robin said, Bobby Rader, his father, had been a good friend of my brother. He went in the Marines together in World War II. And so we've been a family affair, and the nuts and bolts of Dolan and Murphy have greatly been Robin Rader and his family, as they indicated. He's been with us for 30 years, and I always admire the tenacity and the stick-to-itiveness of these great athletes and ball players. They're going every week, and their families who put up with it, and usually are there with them. It's a beautiful thing to see. Let's see, what else? The Dolan and Murphy teams, over all of these years, I can never remember a time that the ball players, the coaches, haven't been a great honor to Dolan and Murphy, to the community of Aurora. They've always been, had great dignity, and some great athletes have gone through and still do through the team in Aurora and Dolan and Murphy. And the Dolan and Murphy family has been a benefactor. So I guess in closing, I just want to say I remember George M. Cohen in Yankee Doodle Dan saying, my mother wants to thank you, my father wants to thank you, my brother Jimmy wants to thank you, my daughter wants to thank you, and I want to thank you. God bless you.
Okay, good morning. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to be the presenter of Thomas in the ceremony. Thomas played for Broken Bow for several years, and we heard about Thomas in 1996. He was recommended to Doc by Jarrad, Martin, and Jimmy Seaman as a player. He was pitching a little bit over there, but they said he was a lot better player than pitcher. Anyway, he possessed all the qualities that we look for with travelers: tough, hard-nosed, old school, and professional. When I first met Thomas in 97, I noticed his quiet personality. He did most of his talking on the field. He joined Ryan Wolf, Rob Giesbrecht, and Rob Giesbrecht performing what some would say was the finest outfield playing at the time. He won 2 ISC World Titles with Bo in 01 and 03. In 2009, Thomas joined me with the Midwest Stampede. He led us to a 4th-place finish and batted 429 right here in Quad City. I'm not too much of a storyteller. In 2002, I wasn't able to attend Neil Film's first shootout. Doc took the team up, and after the tourney, he called and we discussed the teams and players that attended. And it seemed like Brad Underwood was a popular person here this morning. But Doc told me, he said, Brad Underwood was there and he really looked fantastic. He said any team that had to play against him at the IFC would have their hands full. As luck would have it, we opened this bracket play when the IFC headed around robin in the brackets. We played Brad Underwood, and him and Daryl pitched a great game, classic. So we were pretty futile all day against him. K after K, and Thomas was no exception. So I always did consider Thomas to be a patient player, especially hitter, and best hitter for once I forget their last at bat. In the 11th inning, let me noticeably Jarrad Martin worked a 2-out walk against Brad. Thomas came to the plate and lined a dramatic 2-out double down the right field line, He said, I'm sure he had no thoughts of his last bat. We won 1-0. At times, I felt that Thomas got special treatment from Doc. You know, he never had to go to these excruciating opening ceremonies. You're not going to miss out tonight. But when he could do what he could do, it was easy to overlook. Without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the newest member of the IC Hall of Fame, Thomas Makea.
Put me in the field here today. Not a fan of this public speaking, but very, very humbled to be here. Very honoured to be part of this special group of Hall of Fame members. Unlike Todd, when I first heard about this induction or ceremony or Hall of Fame, I didn't actually tell anybody. I didn't even tell the wife. I got the letter and just sort of left it on the table, and one day she ran into it, so that's how it came to be. Congratulations to my fellow inductees today, very well deserved. To my player inductees, Todd, congrats on an outstanding pitching career. And to my good mates, Chubby and Jarrad, as we all know them as ball players. Congrats to you boys too. To my fellow teammates, this award is for everyone too involved. It's a big part of me, and you guys have taught me the North American way. I see David Boys over there. I actually taught him a bit how to play shortstop. Colin Abbott. Always told Colin, don't worry about going the other way, Colin, just pull the ball. It'll be right. To my coaches and sponsors over the years that I've had, thanks for giving me the opportunity to go and become a better player. Thank you very much. To Coos, thanks for today. To Jack, thank you very much for sponsoring our team and our families here this morning. To my wife, thanks very much. I've been coming out here for 14, 15 years, whatever it's been, and while I've had fun, she's one being at home, being mum and dad, so thank you. My wife here, Cara, oldest boy, Dante, and the youngest boy, Elijah.
Your baby stand up.
I had to send my little boy back home after the Junior World Series for get back to school. I guess about 4 months. Thanks to the panel for selecting me. Yeah, thanks very much.
Good morning. Obviously, Jarrad sends his apologies for not being here today. But as you can see, he's up there. Jim, obviously,
Jarrad, we're on. I don't know if there's a time delay, but you're on live now, and Brad's just going to introduce you here, okay? Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Alright, cheers, mate.
obviously, Jarrad born in 1973 from Waitara, New Plymouth, which is located in the west coast of the North Island, New Zealand. Jazz's parents,
Jackie and Bill were amazing people, and if you were lucky enough to meet his parents, you'd understand why Jarrad is the player he was. Obviously, there's got to be a rock in the relationship, and Jezza has that with Lindley. He also has 5 beautiful kids. Jezza was also awarded one of the highest awards you can get in your sport last year. There's one shirt that's been retired in New Zealand, and that's number 2 Mark Thompson. I believe that Jarrad will be the next, and also Thomas Makea. Just a little story I'll share with you guys about Jarrad. He was just one of those guys, just a humble guy, a good teammate, and he'll do anything for you. It didn't matter what colour you were, what language you spoke. He was one of those guys that would just want to get to know his teammate, whether it was 2 beers or 20 beers. There's also a little story that, when everyone gets nervous, gets butterflies, but Jarrad, for some reason, was just one of those one-of-a-kind guys. He'd always, 10 minutes before game, he'd be in the corner of the dugout, bent over the rubbish bin, just letting us know what he had for lunch. He was just one of those guys that would let it out. But anyway, my cousin Jezza, congratulations, my man, well deserved. To the ISC, welcome to the Hall of Fame, my bro. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jarrad. Jarrad, first, what time is it where you're at?
She's about 3 a.m. in the morning.
Well, thanks again. Any other members of the family up with you right now?
Just my wife, she's the one thing that me to wake me up, and I missed a couple calls from Chris, where I'm lying now. Good to be here.
Okay, well, thanks very much. So I hope you heard all those nice things that Brad had to say about you, and we'll turn it over to you now. You've got our undivided attention.
Thanks, Hey, thanks, Captain. I knew you had it in you, mate. Just Brad did text me a couple of days ago about sending some messages over, and just sent a text saying, you got something for me? I need some information on you, and I just thought, no, I'll let it be, and he could wing it, and he'd obviously do okay. So, cheers, big, and I guess to people here, congratulations to all the inductees this year. Obviously, it's a huge honour, and well deserved. Thomas, my mate, is there, couldn't be there with you to share this moment, man, but we're kind of here. Todd, a great, opponent over the years, and you're also a worthy teammate, and I guess a lot of people would have seen you over the days and over the years, and what a great performer you were. I met Todd back in 1992 when he was with Aurora, and it seems like yesterday when I didn't meet you, mate, but she's almost 20 odd years ago now, and if you look a bit upstairs, you may not be able to see, but the old grey hairs are starting to come out now, and that's proof in the pudding that it's been, it was a long time ago that, we first started playing over there. I don't know what happened there. The internet has gone down a little bit. Maybe New Zealand's just won another gold medal at the Olympics. Hopefully that's the reason why it cut out. But that's what I was just on from before. Chubb Tangaroa, once again, great athlete, teammate, opponent as well, and just a guy that, obviously, we looked up to as kids, and, we're still kids in our own right, but Chubby was a few years older than us, and I guess the only thing that I guess Chubby didn't quite get across the line was winning an ISC championship, and I guess the next best thing for that was for him to be inducted as well. So congratulations to Chubb. and I guess the other inductees, Mr. Doyle, our umpire, and obviously the Dolan family for their services to the sport. But I guess really I'd like to just thank the ISC, the people that who put my nomination forward, and just I'm very, like I said, humbled and honoured to have been given the opportunity to play in what I thought was probably one of the toughest competitions in the world, and to spend whatever it was, 18 odd seasons over there was, for me it was a great experience. Just the people that you met along the way, a lot of friendships were made over there in your country, and it's just one of those things that I'm sure myself and everybody else will agree is that there'll be a lot of memories that we live in years to come, and obviously to my teammates, this is obviously not an honour that you're given without obviously having a team and the teammates that I have been involved with over the times. I did have a few clubs that I played for, so probably more clubs than Jack Nicklaus, some might say. But just one of those things. It was striving to be the best, and wanting to. Obviously, the ultimate goal was to win an ISC championship, and I was fortunate enough that I was involved with great teams, and got across the line. I think in about half a dozen times. So I proudly sort of put my rings on display in my bedroom, and because that's all I have to live by now is just the memories of playing over there. To my sponsors, the managers that I was involved with over the years, thank you very much to them for obviously, having faith and trusting. I guess it was back in the day, it was Michael White. He was the one who drafted me across there, and for I guess listening to Whitey and and for somebody to give us an opportunity to play. And I suppose that only came from a little bit of misfortune back in '92 when the passing of Paul McGann and Steve Schultz. Sioux City team were a couple of famous and valuable members due to their tragic deaths, and I was fortunate enough to be given a call to replace them, and I think that's where it all started. So I was very, thrown in a team that was full of stars, superstars at the time, and if there's a few young guys in there sitting in the room tonight, it was one of those times where we almost took it for granted and being involved in such a great team, and I learned a lot from sitting on the bench, because that's all I did, and that was obviously by not doing the hard work and just thinking I could get by on pure ability. So that was a good learning curve for me, and just moving forward, we learned that we need to make the most of the opportunities across there, and for us, as Kiwis coming over to the US to play, I think that it helped us as a country, as players, to develop and to obviously make our game a lot stronger, and I think I believe that we did that in terms of countrymen as we came over there, and we did take the competition by storm a little bit, and I think that helped develop a lot of other countries as well, and so we're grateful. I'm sure that and there are still guys that are playing there now from all over the world, and the reason why is because it's the competition itself, and I know there's a great history of teams, players, coaches, what have you, but I just think that the IC have done such a wonderful thing for us athletes, for the people that, you know, come to watch, the fans. I remember over the years too, we had a lot of fans that, you know, loved to watch us play, but we also had a lot that hated us too, so, and remember rightly or not, I think it was back in 2005 when we teamed up, and I don't know what it was, but it just seemed to be a lot of jealous fans up there that didn't want the Kiwis to win, and as it was, you know, we did win, but it was only because we were passionate about, you know, what we were doing, and to have, you know, some great guys play alongside us, like Shots, you know, who's probably still active at the moment, still playing, and, you know, guys like Dan and Zach, who's also a member of the Hall, you know, just to be able to play along those guys as well has obviously been a huge honour, and I'll just like to say in closing that, you know, I'm not too sure who the teams are out there to beat this year, but I'm sure that, you know, whoever takes the championship game will obviously do their team and their sponsors proud, and to the people there as well, to, you know, to make sure that, you know, we play the game in the right way, and you know, set good examples for the young ones coming through. So yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you very much to the IC committee, and everybody enjoy the week and enjoy the breakfast. And cousin, don't drink too much in the beer tent this year, eh?
John's already warned me a few times about this 4 to 6 minute thing, and but seeing as I've already had free breakfast, and the scary detail is pretty light here, we're just going to run it. So I do have everything written down, as I still have people sending me messages up till 9 o'clock last night of things they thought of Todd, and so I'm going to read a bunch of it and try to wing it as we go. When Todd was nominated and accepted for our ISC Hall of Fame induction, he asked me to do a speech. I was obviously very honored to be asked to participate in such a worthy recipient's moment of recognition. I immediately started writing, as Todd and I have become best friends over the years, and I have shared many of the infamous stories and events during that time. My first draft of the speech was about this stick. And then I started thinking about the audience for this event, the IC dignitaries, the children. And I knew I would have to do some editing, as we had a lot of fun along the way, but some of those humorous moments were probably not the right material for today's event. Upon editing, my second speech looked like this. At that point, I became a little nervous about my appointed task. I told Marty about being a little uptight because I really wanted to get it right for him. His answer at that time was perfect. He said, if you're not doing it from the heart, then you shouldn't be doing it. So that's what it is, shooting from the heart and from the hip today. Obviously, Todd's numbers speak for themselves. 6-time IC champion, 9-time IC All-World, 3-time IC pitcher, and the list of his personal accolades in the game goes on and on. His numbers alone would have secured him a place in the Hall of Fame without a doubt, but his numbers aren't the reason I'm standing here today. Although I do appreciate his assistance in contributing to my own personal ring collection. The reason I'm here with so many of you is because of Todd Martin the person, the teammate, and the friend. The rings, the plaques, the trophies, the medals, all sit in the drawer now, or under dust in the storage box. Actually, except for Todd's, which are in a large glass display case with a shiny light on it, right beside his bar in the basement. But in all seriousness, I got to know Todd as a person, and Todd as a person is the epitome of Hall of Famer. His ferocity in the 8-foot circle throughout his career was more than equaled by his sincere love for the game and the people involved in the game. Todd was, and simply is, fun. His infectious personality has touched many of us. It didn't matter whether he was come off the diamond after a heartbreaking loss or a huge win. You would always eventually find Todd conversing, laughing, and telling stories in a large group of teammates, opponents, coaches, and fans. People flocked to Todd because he made them smile. He made them laugh, actually. Playing on a team with Todd meant never taking yourself too seriously. You were going to get ripped at some point, and most times Todd was the one delivering the pitch. He would poke fun with all, and gratefully receive the same verbal abuse from those around him. He played the game like a kid, the way it's meant to be played. And he enjoyed the company of the people in the game as much or more than the game itself. He believed in building a successful team-like chemistry over talent. Not every team Todd played for had talent, but he understood that it took more than just individual talent to succeed as a team. He eventually sold our tremendous sponsor, Jim Hall, here with us today, that nobody wins anything important in June or July. Right, Jim? The early tournaments during the season were about building team chemistry, about forming a bond. In this, Todd was the cheerleader of the pack. That's not saying he didn't compete hard every time he took the field. He definitely did. But he also realized the team needed to want to be together, to sacrifice for each other, to be prepared to go to battle for each other, and by doing that, they would succeed in the end. He knew it also needed to be fun, or why bother doing it? After all, it is still a game. Todd made come to the park every weekend something that his teammates looked forward to. Sure, the ball was good, but the entertainment, the anticipation of more Martinisms, more stories, more laughs, was as much part of why we'd be there as the games themselves. I remember a game years back in the middle of Explorers' early June tournament. We were playing Explorers, early Sunday morning elimination game. Our friend Grant Patterson was throwing for the Explorers. It was about 100 degrees at 9 a.m. and Grant was throwing bullets. Obviously, Grant got up, had fresh fruit, went jogging, and came out to pummels. Through many of our eyes, we all clocked Grant at about 120 miles an hour that day as the Boulevard Lounge had been good to us the night before. G was rolling us down, and I believe the score was 2-0 for the Explorers. When around the fifth inning, Marty, who wasn't pitching in that game, got up, squeezed on a batting ball that looked a little too small for his head, grabbed a bat, took a few warm-up swings, and sat right in the middle of our bench and said nothing. As our coaches, and Mark can attest to, they were scrambling around, trying to figure out a way for us to score some runs, and Todd just remained quietly in the middle of the bench, with his head down, helmet on, bat in hand. I remember catching that wide smile from under the room of the helmet a couple times during that game. Boys couldn't keep a straight face. We lost that game 2-1 that Sunday morning, but that memory's never left me. That was Todd Martin. I'm sure if I went around the room right now, each of you or many of you would have a funny Todd Martin story to tell, and they would all be different. The man could play the game with the best of the best, but his character and wit helped to simply make it the best game to play. I sent out messages to teammates, coaches, friends from the past, asking them to share a line or two about Todd. There is not time this morning, according to John, to share them all, and we also do a tea time as well. I'll share something with you, though, that truly summarizes Todd and his accomplishments as a player and a friend. Quote, Todd was one of the most fearless and honest players I ever played with. He was always straight up as a player and as a friend. He would never let you down, and I trusted him with big situations. He was always dependable to perform on, and especially off the diamond. He was one of my favorite Canadian teammates to make me feel welcome and respected with what I brought to the team. No one loved winning more than Todd, apart from me. Great to play ball with a guy that didn't take himself too seriously and who truly loved to play. Wish I could be there to congratulate him in person. Just saying, at Jam. Pat's quote reminded me of another funny story involving Pat and Marty. Patty came to play for us at Kitchener there in 2008, and he was obviously one of the greatest catchers games I've ever seen. When he came to Kitchener, there was a little feeling out phase to see what Patty was all about. I remember one game early in the season hearing Patty ask Todd why Todd kept shaking off his signs. Patty was obviously a proud competitor and world-class catcher. Todd's response, well, I'll tell you, Patty, as soon as you started printing your name in the papers, taking the loss, I'll quit shaking it off. we all roared with laughter, including Patty, and it was the start of a great friendship and battery for Todd and Pat. Quote, I really appreciate the way Todd approached the game, his confidence and authority when he's in the circle. I also enjoyed his antics off the bat, his sense of humor, and his willingness to take a friendly wager on just about anything, whether a puck would miss left or right edge. But his leadership is what impressed me and many others most. Jim Halton, sponsor and friend. Quote, great pitcher, terrible teammate. Would never buy around, always the last to leave, and I seem to always be there with him. In seriousness, a great pitcher and a greater teammate that everyone loved. This honor could not happen to a better guy. Tell Todd I love him and I wish I was there. Rod Peterson. Quote, great competitor and the best team guy always. Wanted to win and always played for his teammates. I met a couple of female pitchers recently that Todd had instructed. Great drop and great change, just like Todd. Big congrats. Couldn't happen to a greater guy. There's that. Quote, this is a long one, so you feel free to do this one. Todd Martin has shared the bench with the greatest players of his generation, and I am proud to have been one of his teammates both at the start and the end of his illustrious career. His statistics put him in a class of one of the greatest players to ever play ISC fastball. What the stats don't say is that he was one of the greatest teammates to ever pull on a jersey. He had the tenacity of a tiger, the heart of a lion, and the humor of a jackal. He made everyone around him see why his stage was the center of the circle, on or off the field. He was a player of total extremes, and he let you know he expected no less from you. He respected his sponsors, played his heart out for them, and made us all better because he gave so much. Two things will always be my greatest memory of his excellence as a player in person. One, he would always take the ball. Two, and more importantly, he played from his heart, but his father, mother, wife, and children are where he truly took the rubber. Larry Lynch, coach and friend. Little story about Todd's competitive nature. Quote, it was in 1996 where I think Todd made his case as one of the finest pitchers in the world. Pitching that year for Tampa, all year we were good, but not great. We would reach the finals most weekends, only to lose to the Farmer Alcar. That ISC, Alcar lost early, and we did a good job. Farmer Alcar, led by a record-setting Colin Abbott, battled back, winning 13 games to the losers bracket to face us in the final. It was Todd Martin versus Michael White. Sean Reichak led off the final with a single, and Colin Abbott immediately followed with a two-run shot to put us down before we knew what happened. I walked to the circle to talk to Todd, and he was pretty fired up. I said, I think we need to make them a little more uncomfortable. Todd reached back on the next pitch with a high hard drop that accidentally hit the number 3 hitter in the ribs. Todd and November retired the side, and we never looked back, winning the ISC title and Todd winning his first of 3 ISC MVP pitcher awards. David Boyce, teammate and friend. He called it was Boyce. Quote, Todd Martin is a legend. I had the pleasure of playing with Todd as I was just getting my feet wet in the ISC with Kitchener. We had a few young guys on the team, and every one of us admired Todd as a pitcher and had already heard the stories of what a great teammate he was. One night, he invited Blair Escalde and Kieran and myself down to his room for a few Diet Cokes. It was just the 4 of us when we were in awe. We asked Todd a million questions about the game. He answered every one of our questions genuinely, helping us out, and then proceeded to have us in stitches with jokes and stories. Before we knew it, we turned around, and there were 20 other guys from several different teams, all gathered around listening to Todd in the same room. I'll never forget that night. It's very rare that you meet someone you admire and look up to and have them meet standards you have set for them, but even more rare to have that person exceed your expectations by so much. That was Todd for me and many others. I'm happy to call him a friend and still the best teammate the game has ever seen. Congrats on this honor. I have had a good fortune to play with Marty on a few occasions. Everyone was memorable. Being a teammate of Todd's, one learned very quickly that Todd gave his best every time on the hill. No one wanted the ball more than Todd. At times he would step over people to get to the mound to throw. One of my favorite memories of Marty showed what a great teammate he was. I think it was 2009 IC final. We were with the Kitchener Twins facing a very loaded up broken goal Patsy's team. And Todd, knowing I had never won an IC before, faked a groin injury to get me in the game. Thanks, buddy. Over the many years playing against Todd or with him, one thing for certain, he's a true Hall of Famer, and it was an honor to share the circle with him over the years. Dean Dolan. Here's a little bit of a mixed bag that came in last night that I really enjoyed. Todd has had many appealing traits that made him not only a great pitcher, but also a great teammate and feared opponent. Smarts on the field. Everyone thinks Todd was so smart when it came to pitch selection. He once told me it all came down to self-preservation. In his words, I never throw a pull hitter outside, never throw an inside hitter, never throw a pull hitter outside, and never throw inside to a guy who goes the opposite way. Because those are the ones that end up as line drives right back at you. I asked, well, what about the guy that hits up the middle no matter where you throw them with no pause? Todd said, I just hit that. Fierce competitor. I remember Todd was playing for Nova Scotia in the national championships, and Jody Henniger, another competitive man that may know, was playing for the Jaguars. Todd had accidentally hit a few Jaguars in that game, and at one point when Todd was covering third base on a play, he was close enough to their bench that Jody yelled out at Todd something about the 3 batters that he had hit. Todd responded back, that means I have 6 left. Awesome teammate. During the summer when the Kitchener River Shark Twins were trying to three-peat at the IC, he had to swear to the Kitchener Jar in a local Oshawa District League game. To his defense, he said he was trying to throw behind me and his radar must have been off a bit. I've actually seen him throw behind Reno Ambrosio, who's a great friend, before when he was with Midland, and I think Reno peed a little bit that day. The guy is honest. After we won ICs in 09, he told everyone to make sure they order your rings one size bigger than you think you need, because you're all going to get fat. He had heart, not many knew, but Todd tore his groin in the semifinal of the 09 IC, but demanded to start the final. He threw 4 shutout innings without being able to throw his devastating changeup, because that was the pitch that hurt him the most. His roots. Hard not to mention the guy that started it all for Todd, Chris Popovich, brought him from Bracebridge as a midget or junior to play with his age 14. Pops had success bringing another Bracebridge kid named Mike Crawford down to play a few years prior. Pops coached Todd junior in the local Diop Men's League for many years, and they remained close friends until Pops passed away last winter. Pops was Todd's biggest fan and always referred to him as that frickin' Martin, and laughed. Pops was looking down on Todd's smile today and telling all his buddies stories about his star pupil. And all those came from Grant Patterson, teammate and friend. I talked a lot today, just ask John, about Todd as a person and as a friend. And as Larry Lynch touched on in his quote, I attribute Todd's positive character to being a man of good roots. Todd has mentioned many times to me what a positive and supportive influence his parents have been throughout his career. His father, Gary, was his youth coach in Bracebridge, teaching Todd the game and setting the initial foundation for his illustrious career. Gary himself was a legend for many, many years in the Bracebridge men's basketball team. I'm very pleased to welcome Gary Millimore to this event today. You should be proud of the wonderful person that you have raised. Today's celebration is the culmination of a job well done by both of you. Great job, Mom and Dad Martin, and thanks for giving me a great playmate. I also know that Todd's wife Nikki, daughter Jen, and son Chase wish they could have been here today. Todd's love and dedication to the game of fastball pales in comparison to his commitment to his family. I've had the pleasure of getting to know the Martin family very well over our years of friendship. I I consider them all to be part of my family. I've also enjoyed recently watching Todd's world come full circle. After spending a winter on the ice assisting with his son Chase's hockey team, Todd's taken great strides towards breathing new life into the Aurora Diggers Girls Softball Association. He is currently the head coach of the U10 travel team there, where his daughter Jenna is the flame-throwing leader of the pitching staff. I expect to see Todd on the diamond educating young minds for many, many years to come. And one last event that really signifies what Todd was all about in this game. For years, as our careers were winding down, some faster than others, Todd always said when it's over, I'm going to arrange the Martin Shuffle. The Martin Shuffle is a golf event heading into its 5th annual in November that basically Todd has created. He organizes, he sets it all up. And 12 or 16 old fastball buddies from as far east as Newfoundland, as far west as California, as far south as Texas, Ontario, Alberta, all get together every November just to be able to spend some time together once a year after playing together against each other for all those years. So, Todd, cheers to you, my friend, and this well-deserved honor. This one and 2 more are right here. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd.
Thanks very much, Bex. I appreciate it. Thanks to the IC committee for this honor. Thanks, John. Truly is an honor to be here, and I'm very proud. To my fellow nominees, Dolan family, other sponsors, none of us are here. The umpires, Tom, congratulations. It's again, the umpires, we're just not here, so we need you guys. We fight you is what we need. Just to Chubb Tangaroa is not here. Chubb, I watched you in amazement. If you watch this, as I come home to see him pitch, it was just amazing to see how the ball can move like that. And I never forgot that as a young man coming up, and Larry and Jazz, what to say about you guys. Everything that I won in this game, or every time I lost in this game, either went through you guys or you guys went through us. So we were tied to death from the time we started playing together. So I remember Jazzer, he came over 92, he talked about Aurora. Lauren Albert was with us. He said, you guys are going to be locked in forever. And he was bang on. So anyways, to my family, Bex mentioned, my wife Nikki, and my daughter Jenna, and son Chase, they're home. We made a decision because we're getting ready for the provincials next weekend, and there's 4 ball games going on between yesterday and tomorrow, so we decided to stay home. But I'm so happy with where we are in our lives. And I know you guys are watching home right now, so I love this, and I look so forward to watching my daughter Jenna and my son Chase pursue the love of sports the way I did. It takes my breath away to watch it, and I miss you guys. To your mom and dad, the most influential people in the world to me. This means nothing without you guys being here. So happy you are. I told my dad 25 years ago, we were in here saying, you're my best friend and my idol, you always have been. He said, I don't care about being your idol, it's pretty important to be your best friend. And it's always been like that. My mom, the rock, you're a rock of the family. I'm so happy you guys are in my corner. So now I want to start. I didn't prepare a speech, and I thought it would come pretty natural when I'm sitting up here now and drawing a blank. So, so I guess one of the things I want to mention is Bracebridge, my hometown. I know some guys that can be down here for Bracebridge playing in the Masters in a couple of days. So fortunate to grow up in a place like Bracebridge where ball was such a big sport. I grew up in a ball diamond. I grew up watching a guy named Mike Crawford who became, I guess my entry into the fastball. Mike's here, and I really appreciate he's here. He took the time as a young kid, to really help me out. He's about 5 or 6 years older than me, so I got to watch him play. Drove me to the park to meet Pops, and I never forgot that, Mike. I'm really proud to know he's a friend, and glad you're here. As far as pitchers that I work with, I always said if I ever got here, I'd pay homage to him. And Brad Underwood, I know he's not watching, but someone will tell him. I tried to emulate Brad. I thought he was the greatest greatest thing I ever saw pitching. And, you know, I tried to be like Brad. I was a little bit in awe of him, and I got to know him. I talked to him, and I encourage all young ball players to ask people how to get better at it. Because that's what I did. I bugged Brad, and I bugged Aaron Zach. I was fortunate enough to play with Lauren Algar in 1992, and I learned more in a year playing with Lauren than most pitchers probably learn in a lifetime. And I never forgot that either. So, Lauren, if you're up there listening, I really appreciate that as well. As far as the IC goes, where do you start with that? For me, it was basically a lifetime pursuit of something greater than getting up and going to work every day. I wanted to be really good at this game. I wanted to win the IC, and I spent every waking hour of it from the time I was probably 22 or 23 years old, thinking about how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, and what that was going to look like. It was just such a huge part of my life. I was so fortunate to be able to play in it. And I think, no offense to the guys that came before us, or the guys that came after us, the game when we played was at its best. It was the hardest to get to the IC has ever been, with those 10 or 15 years to the late 80s and mid-90s. There's so many teams, so many sponsors with deep pockets, which was always good too. So many great tournaments. It was just fantastic. And I look back to the first time we won in 1996. We talked about how good the game was. We played the first game, which wasn't a very tough game, and we beat Colorado. And then the pitchers we knocked down in a row after that were Dean Dolan and Steve Price. And we went to Meredith, and then we went to Paul Algar and Jody Hanger. Then we had to go to Darren Zach in the Phoenix game, and then we played Michael White and Pietnik in the final. So how's that? How about Michael Gager? Michael didn't have a very good afternoon, but he threw 2 pitches, I think, but Michael and Peaches. So you talk about how good the ball was then and how good the teams were. It just blows your mind. So the last thing I'm going to say, we're going to get back on time here, is all of this was done with my teammates, which meant everything to me. So this game allows you to start at a young age. You're playing with some older guys, and then you last, run the gauntlet. So you got about 30 or 35 years of age groups that you're talking about. So you start when you're 20, you're playing with 40-year-olds, and you finish when you're 40, you're playing with 20-year-olds. You got a long time there. And I think someone mentioned it earlier. You play for a long time, but you talk about guys like, I'm looking at Brian Patton and Charlie Henderson down here today. I was 20 years old. Those guys were, probably mid to late 30s at the time. They were, legends of the game. I was just in awe to talk to them, and how they're here. And then I look at Steve Lawley and Jason Hill, they're here as well too, right? So they came out and they looked at me when they started, and they got big goal eyes. Like, yeah, this is Todd Jarrad. That's 30 years of experience right there that you get to play with, you get to know, and all of you guys, and there's dozens and hundreds, and Abby's here, and Butter, and Grazer, David, you guys all come down to this thing. It means so much to me because I did all this with you guys in mind. Because without the teammates and the love and friendship we had over the years, it just wasn't as important. So that was one of the biggest and best things, and still is, of my life. And this is for all you guys as well too. The sponsors that I had, I mentioned everyone plays on a bunch of teams in the course of the career, but I really want to single out Rod Peterson and Jim Hallman, the Hallman family. So everyone should, at some point or another, got to know Rod or play with Rod, because he was just that big of a personality and that good of a guy. I think Butter talked about farm material in his speech a couple years ago, and I think I embodied that. Good, bad, or otherwise, it was pretty special to be a part of. And then when I got to play with Jim Hallman, Sue Hallman, and the Kitchener Hallman twins, it was just a very, very special time in my life. We had such a good family feel of that team, and I really appreciate sponsors. I said it earlier. Without you guys, we don't exist. And Rod Peterson and Jim Hallman were two of the very finest. So I think that's it. If there's anything else, I can answer. Thanks. I'm truly honored and proud to be here. And along with the ISC, it was a huge part of my life, and I hope it's a huge part of everyone's life going forward. Thanks.
All world in 3 successive tournaments back in 89, 90, and 91. Next. And with Owen Park, California, Gonella Brothers, which was a power team of their era, they finished in the Final Four 3 straight years. In 1989, he threw no-hitter, striking out 32 batters in a 15-inning game. He led all the pitchers in that tournament with 98 Ks in 51 innings of competition. He was inducted into both the New Zealand in 2004 and the ISF, International Softball Federation Halls of Fame, that second one being in 2011. With the New Zealand Black Sox, an impressive record. Anybody know? He's 12-1. Who beat him? Anybody know? Okay, we'll say that. But Quad Cities might be the States. 3 consecutive medals of the ISF, and there are 2 silvers and of course a gold in 1996. 13 ISC seasons, 25 wins over that span of time. He appeared up in Kitchener. Larry Lynch has a tournament there where they created the Legends Awards, and Chubb was up to receive that back a few years ago. And he has served as the national team pitching coach for the Black Sox. And so our most recent, as of now, and Thomas, you're going to have to get an extra suitcase, take all the hardware back for Jazz and for Chubb. But please put your hands together in absentia for Robert Chubb Tangaroa.